Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel of mprugs.com. My name is Mike. I'm the moderator in a series of videos that is all about handmade carpets from around the world. Welcome you to our channel. Hope you and your family are doing well. In today's episode, this is going to be all about silk, handmade silk carpets. We have Turkey, we have India, we have Iran. And one of the questions that I have been getting, and this is actually going to be a two-part video. In the first part here, we're going to be discussing questions that I've been getting a lot from a lot of viewers, and that has to do with specific types of silk rugs, the Turkish Hereke rugs, and here we have 3 examples. And what the question is whether there are still new ones being made in Turkey, and if so, what is the difference between the more recent pieces and the older pieces? And that is what I'm going to be featuring in this video. In the second part, the other question that I've been getting a lot about is from folks whether they are visiting our website at mprugs.com or just in general. They're looking at buying a fine handmade carpet. They like the silk rugs. But the question that they're having is, look, if we're going to put a rug on the floor, is it okay to actually step on a silk rug? It's one of the most common questions that I'm getting. And yes, these rugs are made to be walked on, but in the second part of the video, I'm going to address the but part, because there is the salesperson who wants you to obviously go out there and basically spend the most amount of money you can to get a rug. And then there is the little voice inside my head that says, look, I have a lot of clients who have purchased rugs who contact me because they need to get them repaired or need to get them cleaned. And when it comes to silk rugs, the silk rugs are very different than wool rugs. And I don't want to, as I always tell my clients, if you buy a rug, I want you to be happy for years to come. Because if you're not going to be happy, or if you find out later that whether you got screwed and you paid way too much, or the quality wasn't what you were promised, or the rug got damaged or dirty a lot quicker than you thought it would, well then you're not going to come back. And to me, if you run a good, solid business, it's all about taking care of your customer as if your customer was your neighbor. This is how I was raised, and this is what I taught my kids. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about the Turkish Hereke rugs. In the next video, it's the differences in the silk rugs, and when is it okay to put a pure silk rug on the ground, and what type of places would I recommend them, as if you were my neighbor. So I put out the 3 silk rugs. We have Turkey, Iran, and India. But I'm going to put these aside for time being, because I'm actually, like I said, this is part 1. And so in part 1, it's all about the newer and the older Turkish Hereke rugs. And here I grabbed a small stack of the Hereke rugs that we have on our website. And this is something that I'm personally extremely passionate about. And this is also something that I get a lot of questions about. So if you are, whether you own a rug or if you're thinking about buying a rug, and this especially, since this video, it's all about the silk rugs, the famous Hereke rugs. I have a ton of videos in our channel that is all about the Hereke rugs, and since there's a lot of unfortunate fraud, I always tell my clients 90% of the silk rugs that you buy in Turkey are actually not Turkish rugs. So please be very careful. There's a lot of information in our channel or in our website at mprugs.com. I also make myself available to you. This channel is a personal passion of mine. It allows me to share my experiences with you. I am not one to call myself an expert, nor do I honestly respect the people who claim to be. I'm simply someone who grew up in the business. And so if you have a question about a rug you have, feel free to email me. There is a video below in the description that tells you what pictures I need, what size, and how to send them to me and everything. And I get these almost on a daily basis now. I'll take a look at the pictures and I can give you my 2 cents. I have no problems with that. Especially with the Turkish silk rugs, because of the amount of fraud and misinformation that is out there. But basically, what I'm going to do in a little bit, I'm going to do what I always do and get behind the camera. Since I do these videos by myself, I don't have anyone here to be able to help me here. So, and try to make it as simple as I can. I'm going to get behind the camera a little bit and show you a little bit of what I'm talking about up close so you have a good feel for it. But basically what I've done here is I've taken 3 Herekes right here in front of me of the stack, and then I have 3 pieces behind me. The one in the middle here is a newer piece. This was made by the Sentes workshop. And I'm actually going to feature this rug when I get behind the camera. It's a really nice little, it's a beautiful piece. This is the kind of rug that I think in 30 or 40 years, it's going to be extremely collectible. But this is also where a lot of the misinformation and everything comes in. A lot of people talk about the silk rugs in terms of investment. And I always tell people, when it comes to buying these types of rugs, think of them as basically whether it's buying a new car, these would be like the equivalents of luxury cars, or let's say some sort of collectible, let's say luxury watch. When you buy it, you walk out the door, you are going to be losing a ton of money. You're going to be losing out on the sales tax or any other duties that may have been put on the product. You're also going from having a new product, brand new, sealed in a box, basically, to being used. The moment it goes from being new to used, on just about anything you buy, you're going to be losing a lot of value. However, over a period of time, and we are talking decades, generally speaking, these are the types of rugs that will retain their value and then will start increasing. And here is a perfect example, and this is why I wanted to do this video using this piece right here. This was purchased by the original buyer in 2012 for 8,500 euros. 8,500 euros, 2012. Now, he bought it in Turkey. In my opinion, he overpaid. This was a rug that would have normally, I think, being brand new, would have sold for about half that price. I would say more like 4,000 or 5,000 back then, but that's what he paid for. He went, like a lot of people, went on a cruise ship, went on holidays. He was talked into basically looking at all these rugs, and they have these fancy tourist-oriented workshops where you go in, and they got these high-pressure salespeople. And so, make a long story short, bought a rug for 8,500 euros, 2012. And then sold it for a quarter of that. So, yeah, it took over a 10-year period, he easily lost about 75% of what he paid. Now, over here you have a piece that's about 60 years old. And this is an absolute beautiful Ozipek. Here we have a standard Hereke. I chose these three pieces because all three of them have the same 10-10 quality. So in terms of knot count and everything, all three pieces are very much the same. The difference is the 60-year-old piece has already basically crashed through the bottom. And being that the old workshops don't exist anymore, it has recovered and then some. So while originally this person may have very well have paid $30,000 for this rug, yes, that's how much they used to go in the 60s and 70s. They were a ton of money. Then Turkey had a huge financial crash, basically went insolvent, went bankrupt, and then you had the Chinese coming in with the influx of the cheaper imitation rugs, basically killed the market. It depressed the prices. I mean, we have seen drops of over 90% of the value of the rugs, but that was back in the 90s. Since then, and because of the influx of the Chinese rugs, they have gone up in value. And we are now seeing again how the value of these rugs are starting to go up because there's only a certain amount of supplies in these old rugs. And there is a market for collectible types of carpets. So I thought I'd let you know there is a difference when you buy new and when you buy something that's already obviously old. So whereas new ones, you're either buying in the crash or you're buying on the way down. On the older pieces, you have a tendency of buying as they're going up. So that's one. The second thing is, and this is what I'm going to do when I get behind the camera now, is I'm going to show you the difference because there is a difference in terms of quality. I have described it in some of my other videos. I have talked about it, but there is an actual, in my opinion, difference between the quality of the silk and the designs and the just overall. If you look at a rug 60 years old versus this is about 15 years old, there is a difference in terms of, in my opinion, the quality of the silk, the density, also the dyes, the wool, and well, in this case, it's silk. But just in overall speaking, I'm going to show you, I'm going to do my very best in this video to show you why, in some ways, the newer Hereke rugs, the few that are still being made, these are genuine pieces, they don't compare to the quality and the beauty of the older pieces. So I'm going to see you again here in just a minute. So here I am this time from behind the camera as always, and as I mentioned to you, I got a whole stack of these beautiful Hereke rugs. Our specialty is in the older pieces, and these are from workshops, whether it's the Ozipek or just a regular Hereke weavers. We also have J&K and all that stuff. But one of the questions that I oftentimes get is, number one, whether they're still being made. That's one of the questions that I get is, well, with the industry in Turkey, basically the rug weaving culture having almost all but wiped out by the influx of the cheap imitation, the Chinese and other types of silk rugs. One of the questions I'm always asked is, well, are there still rugs being made? And the answer is yes, there are. There are few and far apart, and because of the amount of almost nonsense, the pressured sales and everything, it's not something I recommend. But then, being that I specialize in the older pieces, it's not my place to tell you not to buy a rug when you're in Turkey. But what the difference that comes in is and I deliberately chose these two pieces right here, is these are newer pieces. Those are all older. But when I said earlier that there is a difference in the quality, you can tell the difference between the silk, whether it is, and I'm just going to use, because these are literally the same quality, the Hereke pieces. This one is actually a 1313 quality, which means 13 knots per centimeter. So this is finer than the standard 1010. But the quality of the silk, the density, new, older, the older ones are more solid. And the best way for me to explain that, I'm just going to swing the camera around. Let me move the chair out of the way. We're looking at the Vitruvian Man. This is by the original, I mean, this is obviously a world famous art piece, Leonardo da Vinci. And nowadays, because of the word Hereke having been basically I mentioned this before in many of my other videos about the Hereke rugs. Turkey dropped the ball and basically dissolved the area, the province of Hereke, because its population all but dropped. The Chinese came in and trademarked the name. And so what you will find that it is actually considered to be illegal in Turkey for the new pieces to have the word Hereke. In the older pieces, the word Hereke is typically, it's not a requirement, but it's almost like a tradition. You will have the name Hereke. On the newer pieces, there is no Hereke left in Turkey. It's sad, but it's true. It's something that it makes absolutely no sense. This is something that, unfortunately, the Turkish government had dropped the ball on. This is something I've talked about in many of my other videos. But yes, you do still have workshops. They still make rugs. But when you look at the newer pieces and you compare them with the older pieces, you will find that and this is my opinion, the silk is not as strong as in the older pieces. Also, the dyes, the old pieces, these are all made with vegetable dyes, and you can just tell that the patina is starting to kick in. And I'm just gonna, as I move, and I do this on purpose here with the camera, I want this area right here, just focus on that, and you will notice that there is a slight starting to discolor ever so lightly. I'm gonna see if I cannot, and you will see it right there. There's a spot right here. And that is what you expect to see from the vegetable dyes. That is what these older rugs are all about. This has age written all over it. And when you also feel it, when you hold it in your hands, this feels a lot more solid and heavier than the newer pieces. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the new ones like this. But for a lot of the collectors, they want the older pieces because of the patina, because of the, in my opinion, the superior knots, the silk that was used. The workmanship, virtually identical. If you were to look at this, and I'm just gonna, and I do have to apologize, I'm holding the camera in one hand while I'm doing this, but I'm just gonna put the two side by side. You can see virtually impossible to tell the difference between old and new, because these are made by, generally speaking, same people, different generations, but same type of weave, same everything. It's just, in some ways, I always tell people, in my opinion, you have the older cars, the steel is different in the older ones than the newer ones. In many ways, the newer cars are safer than the older ones with all the features and the quality. And some people would even say that the new steel is actually stronger than the old one. But anyone who has ever driven or sat in an older car, when you close that car door, you know what I'm saying when I say something is solid. Well, these older Herekes, whether it is Ozipeks like this one, or the more standard older pieces, you have beautiful rugs that have a density that, in my opinion, the newer ones don't have. But these are just as beautiful. I have no doubt that these will also appreciate over the years to come in terms of value. I just wanted to show, because this is something I do get a lot of questions about. I thought I'm just going to highlight the silk rugs, and we're going to start out with the Turkish ones. So now I'm going to come back to you and give you guys my quick goodbyes, and then we're on to part 2 of our videos. So there you have the video. I hope you enjoyed. This is part 1 of the silk rugs. We are going to be talking about the differences in the different types of silk rugs, and when they are, in my opinion, to be useful, when they are perfectly fine to be used throughout your homes and office. So I hope this video is of help to you, especially for those of you that are looking at buying the Turkish silk rugs or are passionate about them. As I always say, if you like our channel, if you want to be updated when new videos come about, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. There is also, again, information below in the description. Also, feel free to visit our website at mprugs.com. So in the meantime, I wish you and your family the very best. I'm going to be coming back to you with many more videos to come. Until I see you again, take care and best wishes. Bye-bye.